Alrighty, and welcome out to another Prototype podcast. This is, I guess, technically our first official day of coverage of Summer Game Fest, not E3, whatever you want to call it, for 2026. It's I, Alex, producer, here with Ken, and we are going to go over, I guess in some detail, the stuff that's happened.
Already.
There's been a bunch of the indie showcases. I distilled it down to, probably 10, 20 titles or so that I thought were interesting. But for the sake of brevity and just making this quick as possible, we're going to go through just a couple of the titles that I thought were the neatest ones, because there was the Japanese indie showcase, there was the 6-1 indie showcase, the Black Voices in Games, and the Mix, which a lot of them had sort of similar. They'll have like they said, exclusive trailers, but they're not new games. It'll be like slightly different ones.
Exclusive trailers, aka we added an extra 5 seconds.
Added 5 seconds, or had a slightly different view, or had the developer talk briefly about it. So for those sorts of things, we're not really talking about them. It's mostly stuff that I would say has not been talked about here before, or is brand new, like completely new, that you probably haven't seen anywhere else. Also, if it was new and exclusive to one of them, but they had like another one somewhere else, we're not talking about that. As well as there was the indie showcase for the JRPGs, like indie, I think call it Indie Quest, as well as what else was there? There's probably another one in there that I'm missing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of indie stuff.
There was like the Thinky Direct, but I didn't see any big puzzle games in there this year that really stood out, at least to me. If you're interested, obviously go search it out yourself.
Yeah, for me, when a puzzle game comes out, it's like, okay, what are the reviews like? How much content is there? And then go from there.
Yeah, and if it's like a bigger one, it'll probably hit our radar anyway.
Yeah.
And in past years, there's been stuff that popped up that was like, ooh, really cool. It didn't. Again, it's personal taste. If you're really into that stuff, go watch it. And then of course we'll go over what was shown at the Sony State of Play. And as far as like deep speculation and stuff, Birdman is not able to make it onto this show, but when we do like the big final roundup, we'll where we sort of like break down everything over the course of the next 4 or 5 days. That's when we can dig in with him when we do like a big postmortem. So this is going to be a shorter show overall. I've on some meds for antibiotics right now, and it is kicking my ass. I was like, it says, you can have an upset stomach with some of the antibiotics, and I'm like, I'll be fine, because I've the surgery that I had on my stomach surgery years ago make it so that I don't really feel queasy, so I don't get that. But my God, is it making me tired? And then I look up, it's like, what's the second symptom? It says, it'll likely make you tired.
Drowsy.
And I look at all my other meds, and it's like the stuff I take for my blood pressure, the stuff I take for diabetes, the symptoms are dizziness, drowsy. I was like, that's why I'm a zombie. And I'm like,
so they're all mixing together and giving you the exact same symptom.
Yeah, and I talked to my pharmacist when I got the antibiotics, and he's like, he goes, you don't want to drive. And I'm like, well, I don't drive. And he goes, good. You're going to want to sleep for the next couple of days probably then. And I went, you mean right before we're doing our busiest time of the year with the podcast? Okay.
The universe just decided to say, fuck you.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, God. Anyway, so I'll try to keep the energy up here, and then I'm probably taking a nap like an old man. But I can say that for the stuff that I liked from the indie, my little notes I made were there was Game Bonanza or Gam Bonanza. That's the Balatro that's a chess game.
It is out now. It's already out.
Yeah.
It's on mobile. I did try it out on mobile. This is going to be addictive, and then I immediately uninstalled it because I'm like, I do not have the time right now.
That's one of those, I think, when we have a lull of things, especially if July and August really don't fill up with a lot of games, it might be something you can check out, because as you'll hear later on, at least from Sony, September's busy. So
Broke-tember is going to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it looks kind of cool. The other one I wrote down from one of the indies, I think this was another one of the Japanese indies, was Omega Phoenix, which is like a realistic looking mecha shooter. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
those this year, but that would look pretty cool. And then from I think it was either the 6-1 indie or one of the other indie showcases, there were two Tetris style games. There was Blocks for Babies, which
Mm-hmm.
is starts out like regular Tetris, and then it goes very Devolver digitally, where,
Yeah.
where it turns into sorry from 2D into 3D, and you're essentially attacking demons and weird things happening, and then going back into 2D. Kind of neat. And then there was Jupiter Junkworks, which is another spacey sort of Tetris with like space travel and like a real storyline involved and something. So I was like, those look interesting. A bunch of the Japanese style JRPG indies, but the one I'm going to highlight out of it, other than like I would have just said, watch the whole. I'm still going to say watch the whole thing and buy all those games, but the one that really stood out was Full Circle, and it's the one that looks a little bit like PS1 3D graphics mixed with PS1 2D graphics. It's kind of neat, like 2D sort of sprites and battle systems, but then they also have like 3D environments and worlds that you're interacting within. And the battle system appears to have that Legend of Dragoon / Expedition 33 style, where you're timing your attacks as you're, even though it's turn based, to get like better results. Looks pretty cool. And then from one of the other indie showcases, there was Polyfighter, and this was teased last year when I was thinking about it now, but this is the first time they really showed it, and it's a fighting game where every enemy you beat, you can choose to steal one of their special moves, a la Mega
Yeah.
Man, and
Yeah.
use that to fight the next people. So depending on which moves you have, it will help or benefit fighting certain other characters as you go along.
Yeah, one of the guys I follow, he did a stream. He does fighting game streams, but he does stuff on a lot of these fighting indies, and he did one on that, and he had a good time. So
Yeah, it's like it's always cool to see like an indie trying to get into that space, because it's one of those things where you have to get it like either perfect, or you have to have something completely unique that nobody else is doing. And I think there was a fighting game that might have done this, but it's been like 30 years. So that's pretty cool. And I guess we'll move into like the main thing, which is the Sony State of Play.
yep.
So with that, opened up with Wolverine having about 7-8 minutes, I think, of like uninterrupted
Yeah,
sort of
something.
gameplay.
Some like, well, there was a cut of gameplay.
Yes. Yeah.
There was clearly more gameplay of you riding the motorcycle. That
Yeah.
that was there, but like we cut past that.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably 3 shots, but it was
Yeah,
uninterrupted. At least the first 3 minutes
for
or
the
so were
most part.
completely uninterrupted. Where you
Yeah,
got to see sort of like, it's not explaining whether it's the beginning of the game or it's somewhere I would assume near the beginning.
it's probably in the beginning-ish. Probably
Which
similar to the same spot that they cut from Spider-Man, from both
yeah.
Spider-Man games.
So like past the tutorial, but into probably the first major mission.
Yeah.
And it might be the bloodiest game I've ever seen that wasn't a horror game.
If you want a Wolverine game and you're going M, yeah, it's bloody.
And I've seen people say like, "Oh, how come it's like, oh, the blood dries off too fast?" It's like, well, there's compromises even on the PS5 Pro. You can't have the whole game be wet 24/7 with the wet physics. And my argument is, well, obviously his blood's going to dry up, and
they also want to show off the costume.
Yeah, but also like it's like, oh, how come the blood's going away? You think that Professor X isn't going to make him a suit that wicks off moisture?
Yeah.
So the idea is it doesn't dry on him because the way the costume is designed, it comes off, and it's not going to, the blood's not going to stick to his skin simply because he heals so fast. He probably just has a protective layer, so it makes sense. And they show that if he gets shot, like there's like holes in his body that heal up as you're playing. Like they've thought about a lot of things. There's environmental damage, like you can be beating up a guy and then smash their head against like the rocks, or there's a part where he gets throws a guy into a forklift and kills him. And there's going to be other X-Men and X-Men adjacent
They also
characters making
noted that
cameos.
all the people you're facing against are cyborgs, so there's a
Well,
reason they
yeah.
can beat the shit out of you.
Well, yeah,
They're
yeah,
not normal
yeah,
randos.
they're like enhanced humans, who they call like, so it's like people
I
that
forget
are
what name they used.
yeah, I forget, yeah, but it's like they're calling the mutants freaks. So the idea is it's like
They work for Trask. It's a
yeah,
Trask is our main villain.
technologically enhanced humans versus biologically naturally enhanced humans is what it seems like the plot's going to be.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin. It's what magic evolution versus technology or some shit. Whatever, something like that.
But like what really stood out for me was the reveal of Jean Grey's in the game. And you're probably going to play her at some point because you can see her in the background doing shit.
Yeah, it might be a similar situation to Spider-Man 2 where you have a moment or two where you end up playing as another character.
Yeah.
So
I would assume that. Either that or DLC.
Yeah, or something to that extent, which looks awesome. Marvel Tokon released the second to last fighting team.
Which revealed Sung Wang Cho, aka Pro ZD, is playing Doom. Yeah. He's doing a great job.
What is it? Knights of Doom is the team, and then you've got Magneto, which of course you had to have Magneto. And then I guess there had been rumors of Carnage, so I think that was there. I think everybody was surprised it was Green Goblin though, as the other.
I'm happy they got Steve Bloom's Green Goblin, because Steve Bloom's Green Goblin is so fun.
Oh yeah,
he's such a fun version of Green Goblin.
It looks pretty sweet, and they have one more team to reveal. I believe that's Ghost Rider's team. So
yeah, it's Ghost Rider's team.
you're looking at what, probably, if it's like supernaturally, is it going to be or magical? Probably going to have like Doctor Strange.
Maybe Doctor Strange. Nova is probably a part of that.
Maybe Moon Knight or something.
Team. Moon Knight. I would say like Moon Knight, Nova, Doctor Strange would be the team. Because
it's got to be characters that the Japanese team would like to have their own take on, right? So
yeah.
I would assume a Doctor Strange, because that's a universally popular character. And then like I was thinking like a Moon Knight or something, because it's sweet. It's too bad this wasn't it's Marvel Tokon. Too bad they couldn't have worked out a deal at some point. Heavens aligned, and it's like a Marvel versus DC, because then you could have had like Constantine with Doctor Strange.
Oh,
but don't tempt me. I know, right? But yeah, so that looks pretty sweet. It was good that they paired those together. Rayman Legends Retold. This was heavily rumored, obviously, before, and there were some leaks. I don't know. My brain. I never really played these games. Only like briefly saw them. Is this? Did Rayman talk in the original version?
No. They just they were just kind of like
Charlie Brown. Like wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. It was that kind of situation.
Fully voice acted. Visually looks like a big upgrade.
They basically rebuilt the games from the ground up. It's a completely different experience, because
I was going to say, like, didn't they add more 3D stuff in this too, like more 3D?
Because this is when they put the original games out, they were touting their UbiArt engine.
That's what I thought. This looks to be using a different engine, right?
Yeah, this is probably using the latest version of
like
Glacier. I think Snowdrop probably.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it didn't look like Snowdrop is their most versatile engine, so probably Snowdrop. Or is this a test of like a new UbiArts engine? Or are they maybe merging the engine? You know what I mean? Like maybe adding the feature sets into one of their others or something.
Maybe. I
But
mean,
yeah, it looks
Snowdrop was an evolution of UbiArt anyway.
yeah. I mean, it looks cool. It comes out the beginning of October, so we'll keep an eye out. We'll probably get review copies of it to check out. So keep an eye out for that. Bancho the chef. That's the Dave the Diver spinoff, right?
Yeah, it's a Dave Diver prequel, and you get to play as Bancho, the guy that's running the sushi restaurant that you sell your fish to.
Cool, cool for people that like that. I've never played. I don't know. Worth checking out, probably.
Hey, look, if it has the same kind of quality as Dave the Diver has, like, sure.
Yeah, of course. So, Kimori, Hunt the Unseen. Good surprise. I can't remember. Was this? I think this was announced without anything being shown before. Was it a title announcement?
Basically,
originally?
she's being co-funded by Sony to make this.
Yes, and by she, it's I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she's
Ikumi.
She was
Ikumi. I don't know her last name.
She's the one that came out. For those who remember when Ghostwire Tokyo was announced, she's the one that came out. It's spooky. That lady.
Yeah,
and she left the game like a year or two before
joy.
The game was announced, and I think she left like a year or two before it came out and started a new studio.
Yes, that, and she gained fame because she was one of the main artists behind the original Okami.
Right. Okay. And this is now she's a CEO of a new studio. Upstart.
She's running her own studio now. Yeah.
And this, I did check. It is PlayStation 5 console exclusive, but I believe it's coming to PC as well.
That's not shocking.
But it's basically like a third-person version of Ghostwire Tokyo. That is three-player co-op.
I get it might be like Night Rainy co-op-y, I guess, because it had a comment about dying is not the end.
Like it's not just a purely online game, but it is like you can do three-player co-op. I'm assuming for the missions as well. So
and it looks like character actiony a little bit.
Yeah,
in terms of its style.
They said that
you don't necessarily
know.
know.
Yeah, it's not based in any particular country either. It's like Asian inspired is what she said.
Yeah, it's definitely Asian urban punky.
So it's like if you want to think it's Indonesia, you can be Indonesia. You want to think it's Singapore, it can be Singapore. That sort of thing.
I mean, so, I at first thought it was Korean, and then I realized they were speaking Japanese, and I was like, oh, it's probably
somewhere randomly in Asia where there's yokai.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis. That's the remake of the original game.
Correct.
Was finally shown with full gameplay because it had like I guess like a teaser run trailer when they announced it. Was it the Game Awards? I think.
No, they announced it earlier. I think that was the final. That was the surprise reveal during Xbox's developer direct. I think.
Oh right, yeah. They showed Chrysalis. I think is the one that's like the new one.
Yeah.
And this is coming first, February 12th.
However, they originally had it set for this year and they pushed it to February.
Which is
most people are right now because they're avoiding GTA like the plague.
Well, and they're afraid that they're going to get roasted nowadays if they launch without, performance. We're finally at a point where people are getting mad enough that when they launch on a PC, if the performance is bad, they're getting refunds. And they're like, well, we can't do that now. Especially since Amazon has never shipped a retail game that wasn't an MMO ever.
Well, so you can technically count Bond at this point.
Yes, but they didn't make that internal or publish it internal.
Yeah.
So Bond was basically IOI with oversight and money. But this is, I think, technically their first quote unquote AAA game released on all platforms that they're handling themselves. Obviously, Flying Wild Hog came in to help Crystal Dynamics finish it, but you got two studios that are known for producing pretty good games, and but under the umbrella and like complete ownership and everything of Amazon. I think that they want to make sure it's a hit, and they can't just put it out willy-nilly in
Yeah.
September, October.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is, I would not be surprised if this comes out in February, and then they announce the next game is coming for like next fall,
Yeah. Easily.
because they both are supposed to be very far in development already. So looks cool. Lost Wild, which everybody I think thought was the Lost World at first, but has nothing to do with Jurassic
I
Park.
thought it was the Jurassic Park Alien
survival game,
Isolation type game.
yeah, but it's not. Looks cool. We'll see more in 2027. It was more of a teaser.
Yeah.
Neat. Phantom Blade Zero, more stuff there for people
Do
that
not give a shit about this game.
Yeah, I know. It's like this. I feel like this was announced 3 years ago, and 3 or 4 years
This will
ago,
be, and then they're saying, we'll give you more information probably during Gamescom's Sony, whatever Sony does for Gamescom.
yeah. And it's like, it's just not. I mean, for our listeners here, some people are going to like it. It's just, I don't think it's going to be an us game. We'll know if they send us code, but like
I mean, like,
to me, I thought this game was already out. That's how. I don't want to say
because
generic,
there's
but
so
like,
many different games that have come out already that are pretty much the same shtick.
like I thought Wukong or whatever it was. I thought that came out like same time as this, and I didn't realize this game still wasn't out.
Yeah.
So Dune Awakening, console port, Dynasty Warriors
finally
3.
announced a full the Dune. They've announced a fully single player campaign.
Right. Yes. And then Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered. We knew, we already knew this was coming. It was just like an overview for it, coming out October though. They gave it a date.
Yeah.
No Rest for the Wicked 1.0 announcement. That's probably not for us to really. We're not going to be covering it. Onimusha Way of the Sword. Did that get a demo? I think.
Demos dropped. Yeah.
Cool. So maybe we'll check that out. Silent Hill Townfall. I think this is dividing people. Like it's not pulled in a lot of the fans that you think it would have, but it still looks intriguing.
It's interesting. Because it's first person, I think people are being hesitant.
Yeah, likely.
And also the track record of the devs is iffy.
Yeah, at the very least, it'll be artistic. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But it's filling up September 24th. It's starting to fill up. Ace Combat 8 got a full overview trailer, and what that shows more than anything is that that's the one team within Namco that puts in AAA budgets for graphics.
Yep. And also they revealed, hey, our pre-order bonus, which was heavily rumored, is a remake of Zero.
Yeah, remake of Zero, or at least like a remaster of Zero, ported or whatever.
It's a remastery remake.
And that's that'll be included with the physical editions as well if you pre-order it.
Yeah, and they'll probably sell it individually later on.
Yeah, oh yeah. Stuntman Hollywood was announced. When I was watching, I was like, a new Stuntman game after it was real, and then I saw a line of like, oh, I'm getting old, because like everybody that's young had no idea what Stuntman was, and I'm like, that's like PS2 era. Maybe there was a Wii game. I can't remember if there was, but like that's like PS1, PS2 era.
If there was a Wii game, it was probably like bargain bin basement kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's been like 20 years probably, maybe, since the last one.
At
like,
least.
If you're wondering what that was, let me see here. Yeah, it was a PS2 game, the original, from 2002. I think there were ones after this. I believe it was part of the Driver franchise.
Yes.
So I think it used the Driver engine and everything, and the idea was, think like Burnout, but not the open world Burnout, where it was like mission-based things, and the idea is make it through the end and make it look the best as possible, and that's how you rack up the points. So like, don't crash, don't kill anybody, go through the explosions, make the tight turns, make it look really cool. And the cooler your stunt looks, the more points you get to move on.
Hmm.
And this is it's partnered with Universal, so it's got all the stuff from Universal films, like Kit from Knight Rider. There's the Back to the Future
Yeah,
DeLorean,
I
all that
saw
stuff.
like a bunch of it. And
Miami
I,
Vice cars and stuff.
yeah, I was like, is that Kit? Yeah, that's Kit. Oh, okay. I was kind of shocked that it was Stuntman. Yeah, Stuntman came out 2002 in North America. So
Because I remember that being, I didn't play it, but I remember friends playing it, and I remember it being a pretty big. It was like a rental game back in the day, right? Because you could get a really good time with it over the course of 3 or 4 days. I don't remember it being like something that had lasting appeal, but I could see this being something where Universal, like, they obviously own all the music and they own all the cars because it's Universal producing it, so they don't have to worry about licensing again, if they have to release it later. But what I could see them doing is being like, okay, you could release DLC, every couple months, put a new car with
yeah,
a set amount of stunts in there, and have it be unique to some property that Universal owns or is part of, which is pretty cool.
and tie it into whatever Universal's got. Because I think actually what a good tie-in, because I know Steven Spielberg's doing a remake of Bullet.
Yeah, you could, like, there's a bunch of stuff as long as it's tied to them and they don't have to worry about licensing, and
Yeah.
or even like cartoons if there's things that Universal was involved in. There's a lot of cool stuff. Ill showed off a new trailer and it looks real gross.
It
Uh,
looks like something just like, whoa.
I wouldn't play it because of the scariness,
Yeah, because
but
you.
but I would definitely watch it because it
Yeah.
might be the most visceral and just ick looking thing I've ever seen.
It's named that for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Control Resident got a full story trailer, and that comes
Yeah.
out this on the 24th of September as well. Good luck, Silent Hill.
The end of September is stupid.
Uh, I think Silent Hill's dead on arrival simply
Oh yeah,
because Control's
because
coming out that same day.
Control's coming out.
Too similar of spookiness. Also, um,
Control's
I,
bad.
I'm trying. I was going to say I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. Control will inevitably be a better game, even if Control doesn't live up to people's expectations. It will be a better game. It just is. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, it's subjective. No, it will be a better game.
It will be. Remedy has the track record at this point.
Yeah, they would have to completely shit the bed for a B tier double A Silent Hill game, not from the original creators, to be better. That's not to say that Silent Hill won't be good. It probably will be good. It's just we're talking different leagues here. Marathon Season 2, Snore, let's move on. RuneScape.
Yeah. I literally skipped through it. I literally skipped through Marathon.
Yep. For the stuff that they announced for the PlayStation Plus tiers, Guitar Man, cool. Psyops, the Mind Gates conspiracy. That's kind of a neat thing to
Why
have.
that is the most random pull. And I'm like,
I'm
isn't that the
wondering
game that people laugh at?
They laughed at and thought it was a cool idea, but then laughed at it. Onimusha, Dawn of Dreams. It's Onimusha 4, I think.
I think? Yeah.
So the only one that hasn't been ported or put onto a service like that will be 3. And people are like, oh, maybe they're doing something bigger at 3. The problem with 3 is licensing people's faces and voices. Because
it's the same problem with the new Onimusha, because you've licensed the dead man.
And the third one has Jean Reno, the French actor, as I think himself or playing somebody like himself. Like,
yeah.
That it was a big deal when it came out because
people are joking that they want Jean Reno in the new one.
Maybe they wouldn't change it. Like, I think they'll have to pay the licensing for that, but also, like, when that third one came out at that time, as far as like people, like real people with their real faces portraying either themselves or acting as a character in video games, at that point it really from like a mainstream thing only been done with Bruce Willis. He had done that Apocalypse game, Bruce Willis as so and so in Apocalypse, and he had done his likeness for Die Hard games, so that was fine. But like as like an individual new character not related to a movie, that was one of the first games to really do it. Like,
what was first, Heavenly Sword or that? Because Heavenly Sword had Andy Serkis,
and that Heavenly Sword was like 2007, and I think Onimusha was like maybe a year before. Like, let me see here. I'll pull it up because it was maybe around that time, but it was like very surprising to have, you know, let's see here, Onimusha 3.
Yeah, Heavenly Sword was 2000. Yeah, so a couple of years beforehand.
Yeah, so like at this point, it had really been Bruce Willis, and maybe The Rock had been announced for Spy versus Spy, or was it Spycraft or Spy versus Spy, whatever it was, or Spy Hunter, and then it never actually got made into a game. I think there were a couple of these that was the big deal. Is like what? So maybe they'll do something there. Until Dawn 2, officially number 2 was announced, and that is what was it Fire Sprite? Is I think the studio?
Fire Sprite, yeah.
That's what they're working on. We had talked about that, like, what are they working on? Because they weren't, one, they weren't laid off. 2, the studio wasn't shut down. And 3, they hadn't announced what their game was. So I don't believe people had thought that Until Dawn 2 was being made, but they didn't know it was Fire Sprite making it.
Yeah. I mean, like, hey, you got Peter Stormare back. A+.
Peter Stormare, I think I saw the one guy from Stranger Things season 3.
Yeah, one of the Stranger Things guys is one of the cast members, and that's the only other significant actor that I can recognize.
Yeah, immediately off the top of my head, like I saw him, I'm like, I think that's the guy that had the mustache. That was the
douche, the douche.
Yeah, and I'm pretty. From Baldur's Gate, Neil played Astern. He's the bad guy.
Oh, I didn't even notice that was Neil.
Yeah, he's the one that's like, they're like, who's this guy? Who's the meathead? And I was like, wait a minute, that's Neil. And when he starts talking, I was like, I sort of thought he's trying to do a different accent, but it's the face.
I mean, Neil's really good at accents. I've seen him because he's part of the new Wizards of the Coast D&D show, and he's doing some cool shit there.
Okay, but yeah, if you go back and watch it again, you'll see it. They did some stuff. It is his face, but they've done stuff to it to like fill it out a little bit more and make it. But it's if you look, it's the eyes and the nose. It's where you can tell. So,
okay.
So he's in that. So I'm assuming some of the other people are sort of famous. I mean, you got to have a good, quote unquote heavy as a good actor for bad guys in that, right? So.
Yeah,
I think it's setting him up to be a bad guy, but then you never know, he might not be a bad. You know what I mean? It might be something else.
I think he's gonna be the Rami Malek character where it's like psych.
Yeah, like
I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah, like I'm a bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. And then they end off with 20 straight minutes of gameplay of God of War Le Fay, and
yeah.
I think it looks awesome. Birdman did chime in and say, he's not able to make it for the show, but he's like, it looks interesting. It looks cool. There's going to be people out there that are like, I don't want to play as the girl. And I keep thinking, how do you still exist as people? How do you still have that opinion when I don't want every single game to be exactly the same as the last game. You have to have contrast. So you have to have this game so that when they do the trilogy remake, it feels fresh. And then when they do the next game, which I guess is with
Kratos going somewhere else.
Either Kratos going somewhere else or his son
Atreus going somewhere else.
I have a feeling that the next game won't just be... People will be mad if they do the trilogy remake, but they don't further Kratos' story. I think the next game is going to be half and half. You're playing as Atreus, and then you're swapping chapters and playing as Kratos somewhere else, and they're going to end up meeting up again at some point or something. Cool. But this looked, awesome. So this takes place at least during the God of War 2018 game. I have a feeling the whole game takes place because you know how time works differently in different realms. I
Yeah.
think this takes place during both games.
Yes,
And
because very specifically because I feel like knowing that Alana Pierce, who had worked at Sony Santa Monica for most of the early production of this game and then left, obviously, she started a lot of it. It's absolutely bonkers. One of
so
I like to call it. I'm lovingly calling it Mommy of War.
yeah, it's exactly Mom of War.
Um,
And obviously
they also they
a
also
good
like
cast.
yeah. I mean, like Sony blasted out a bunch of short videos. There's a talk with Cory Barlog and the director out on the PlayStation YouTube, along with a introduction of the main cast. Jack Quaid is playing the gelatinous cube.
Named Frank, but spelled funny. Spelled
Spelled like you would find in like a Norsey kind of
yeah.
realm.
I'm not.
Even though it's like a amalgamation realm, I guess that phase
Yeah, so I guess
been
the basic
transported
premise
to.
is, from what I can gather, she's passed on her energy or life force, spirit, whatever, is moving on to the next plane of existence. But something has closed the gate that goes to where, like, when each god of each, like the Greek gods, and then there's the Norse gods and whatever gods from whatever religions, when they die or when you die, you're passed on and you go to, like, whatever your afterlife is, whatever realm your afterlife is. The gate that would normally transfer you there has been closed, and all of the gods and people are getting sent to, like, this purgatory land in between the gates.
Yeah.
And the you end up seeing LaFay being taken to an area where the people are tortured and killed, creatures and all this, by the Egyptian god of war, Sekhet.
Yeah.
And I tried to listen.
I forget. I'm assuming the dude that is like her henchman is like a Chinese god.
It either, like, to me, either looks like Chinese or Mongolian, or
Yeah, something along that.
perhaps even like an Indian god of some form. It
Possibly.
she says his name, but I couldn't, in trying to
Ye-
I didn't see subtitles. I'll have to look up a subtitled version. If they say the name there, we can look it up. But it was definitely, she was the Egyptian god of war or goddess of war.
yeah, that is
Um,
definitely
so that's
Saket.
so that's how the god of war ties into this. And there's like sphinxes and cool craziness, the gelatinous cube that talks, and talking ribbons that are attached to a sword. They're not saying what the sword is. The mystery
The
is
sword
that,
is significant.
yeah, so it's like, obviously when things die from the different realms, I'm going to assume he wasn't always a gelatinous cube. I'm assuming that a lot of things in this realm are representations of your spirit, essentially. And she manifests as herself because she has a strong sense of who she is and where she comes from and everything. But
Right.
like, I I have a feeling that, Frank wasn't always a cube, and she wasn't always and what was her name? Rue wasn't always a ribbon. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm going to assume that sword wasn't always a sword, or it is a sword of some sort, but it's
It's some legendary sword or whatever.
yeah, like not necessarily Excalibur or something, but it's going to be something like that thing's dangerous because, like, it's a god killer, or it was an evil sword, but the reason it looks like fancy and holy there is because it represents, like, what's inside the person's heart, or it's the sword is maybe asleep, and it really truly is like the spirit manifestation of something else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume that you see, when you're fighting in here, it's not just Egyptian stuff. There's probably going to be references to gods that Kratos has killed. That,
Oh yeah.
but not necessarily. Like, it depends on
Not
when the
not
gates are closed.
yeah, not any of the It would probably be some of the minor gods that Kratos has killed,
It
not
might like
any of the significant ones.
like Thor or somebody might show up. Like basically
Ooh,
any
yeah,
gods that you kill in the last two games would probably show up because the gates are closed.
yeah. I and honestly, Deborah Ann Wolf, love everything she's in.
Yeah,
So give me more of her, please.
and I want to hear her say whether or not she had input on whether the cube was going to be in it or not, or if that was a selling
uh,
factor for her. It's like, oh, by
yeah.
the way, your companion is going to be Jack Quaid as a gelatinous cube.
I mean, she was on the project from the very beginning because like she did stuff in Ragnarok.
Yeah, so was she the voice in Ragnarok? Is that what it was?
Oh no, she did the mocap for Ragnarok as well
Really?
for Fed.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so like this looks good. No date. They're not even
that
committing
next
to a
year.
year. It wasn't even listed
I
as a year.
next year at best.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they probably want this as their October game next year, October,
They
November.
want this. If supposedly the PS6 is coming in 2 years, this is going to be the big send off.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that they haven't announced a year because they're the fact that this looks far enough into development that they could say next year.
This has been worked on for at least over 6 years.
Because I believe this went into parallel production, like
Basically,
at the near end.
midpoint. It was like midpoint of mid to
Yeah,
late
like
Ragnarok.
like when Ragnarok was going through its like last year of, I guess, quote unquote crunch.
Last year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I know because Alana had worked on a lot of the phase sections of Ragnarok and some of the beginning of Ragnarok. Um, so I would assume, and because writing is one of the first things Sony Santa Monica does, I would say probably about 4-ish years before Ragnarok shipped.
yeah, so like this was in at least the pre-production probably around 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
So if we're talking an average of 7 years in full production, it would make sense if it's a fall 2027 game, or if they're pushing it back, don't expect this past like March of 2028.
Yeah. It would be early 2028 or fall next year.
So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty sweet. I can mention a few things that I thought were going to be there. There was no Final Fantasy VII reveal. There was still stuff not shown from a lot of their studios. Nothing from Media Molecule, which was a little surprising.
I
Nothing.
think if Medium Molecule reveals anything, it might be at whatever Sony does for Gamescom.
Gamescom or their standard September Direct.
Yeah.
For I guess teasing, the beginning of next year. And very little from, there wasn't like any second party exclusive titles that were shown. Maybe you could consider Kamori as that, but they didn't specifically say that.
Well, I mean, Kamori is being funded by Sony, so
I guess that's the closest. So if there's a second party thing that is like a console exclusive but also on PC, that's something we might see show up at Summer Game Fest in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Because Sony usually has something to show, not first party to show, because obviously that would have been here, but like a second party deal, or
they give Jeff something.
Yeah, like if Team Ninja or another Koei Tecmo team, or if a Namco team is working on something for Sony that isn't technically first party, that's the kind of thing that might show up at Jeff's show. And the same with Final Fantasies. I have it is going to be very odd if Final Fantasy VII doesn't even get a title reveal at the show on Friday.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be like, what was the point of talking about, and doing all the hype towards releasing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth literally today as we're recording, a few days beforehand, and talking about how in the media scrums how they can't wait to announce new stuff very soon. When else would be very soon? That it's too big to show at Gamescom. Gamescom is big, but it's not all eyes on it the way that this is, and it's also like too far away from Tokyo Game Show, and which is also not big. Like, it's such a big international franchise. Your choices basically are Jeff's show in a couple of days or wait till December.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That was pretty much it, man. Like I would say it was a solid 8 out of 10 for the.
Yeah, for the most part. There's a lot here where I'm like, yeah, I probably should pick up a PS5 at some point.
Yeah, try
soon.
At the very least, find yourself a used one.
It would be used regardless.
And then you got to debate, like, at this point, maybe get a used slim digital, because then you can choose to
That's
get the
what
disk
I'm
drive.
looking at.
I was
That's
gonna
what
say,
I'm
like,
looking at.
that'll be like the least wear and tear. Yeah, it doesn't have a disk drive, but at this point, then you can wait till the PS6 and then choose to sell that and upgrade to a PS6 and not be out as much money, and still be able to do digital. And they, of their older games, we're now 6 years in. When you get one, there'll be plenty of first party titles you can get for $20.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's going to do it, I think, here for the Prototypes coverage of, I guess, the official first day of Summer Game Fest / not E3. There's going to be, I think, 2 or 3 indie showcases before Summer Game Fest. I will watch what I can, determine what we're going to keep and talk about. And then there's Jeff's show, which is that. Nothing announced. I don't think this is the first year in like 7 or 8 years that Devolver Digital is doing nothing, or at least hasn't announced anything, or doesn't even have a single game to, like, last year it was Ball Pit, I think they showed off as the only game. Yeah. But this year they got, like, as far as I know, nothing, unless last minute they show up with something. But it'll be Summer Game Fest and Day of the Devs after that, and we shall convene probably Saturday morning, and as long as everything goes well with Birdman, to talk about the main show there, as well as maybe a few of the indies if I see anything good there. If not, I'll say there wasn't anything good. And then the weekend is quite busy. There's a bunch of indies. They're dropping them all on Saturday, including the one that isn't even official, which is like the Future Games show. It's not part of it. They're showing their own stuff, plus the extended Exodus discussion. I can't say what I saw, but I did take part in a press only early screening of what they're going to be showing for the Exodus game on Saturday. So after that airs, I can talk with you guys about it, and you guys can hopefully
start spieling about it.
Yeah, because like there is, I can say, obviously there's good stuff. I can't say any individual details, and I also don't know necessarily until it's shown to everybody what was exclusive to press, because there is some stuff I think that will be exclusive to us, and once that airs I can talk about it. And then obviously Sunday is the big Xbox one, with the PC one after. There might be 1 or 2 around there as well, and we'll do coverage of that probably on Monday in the slot that we would normally have for the regular game show, or sorry, regular podcast that we do for TWIG. And then, unless Nintendo announces something early to midweek, which, I mean, they usually have
they
one.
Will. They'll announce it on Monday, if anything.
Yeah, so like if they don't have anything, expect mid to late week us to do a big postmortem on the whole event as a whole, and then whenever Nintendo does one, you and I can hop on if Birdman's not interested, or if there's something big, he'll pop on, and we'll do a quick prototype on the Nintendo Direct, and that will be basically our summer coverage for this, because I don't think, yeah, there isn't like a Ubisoft Forward this year. There isn't THQ Nordic, there's not one of those ones put out in July just to split things up. There doesn't appear to be any showcase there. We'll do a prototype eventually on our
Gamescom.
thoughts on Gamescom, and when Birdman finally has some time to complete Pragmata, we'll sit down and do sort of a topic show on that sometime this summer. But this is the kickoff of the next busy week or so. So far, I think it was pretty good. The indie stuff hasn't been mind-blowing, but there's some good stuff there. This was a good show simply because they showed a lot of uninterrupted gameplay of two of their biggest titles.
Yeah.
So that's it. We're going to be back in a couple of days' time with more cool stuff to talk about. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we see some stuff like I want Final Fantasy. We want Persona. A lot of these things are probably going to be at Xbox. I think Jeff's show probably has the best chance to show stuff specifically like Final Fantasy or
surprises.
Yeah, surprises. The biggest surprises will be there. I don't know how many big surprises Xbox will have unless one or two of their studios are ready to show something off. They might have more partnership stuff. I was surprised that there was nothing from Sega here at all. Not even like fighting game. So considering
some of that stuff has leaked already.
Yeah, so like expect Virtua Fighter and the old classic Sega games either at Jeff's show or
at Xbox.
Xbox. It's possible Persona and that sort of stuff ends up at the PC one. I don't know why, but they've done stuff with them before where they've had exclusives at the PC.
Well, they
show.
only did the P4 reveal for PC port because that was their first big thing that Atlas did. So I think now they're gonna try and focus on something for probably focus on revealing it for Jeff or just partnering with Xbox for promotion.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox was the one that revealed the Persona 4 remake. So with that walking animation. So it's probably going to be there for that. But Persona 6, though, that's the question.
I would assume if Persona 6 shows up, it will be
in a segment with Persona 4 and be like, and this is coming.
Yeah, if it's with Xbox, Jeff could do as a one final thing, mic drop moment, or they just wait till Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, that one could be there, or even a Gamescom thing because they're trying to make a bigger push with Sega over in Europe. So we'll see. I mean, they're Sega and Atlas are doing pretty well, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's going to do it for the show. We'll be back in a couple of days right here on thisweekingeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.